Hey there, good people, it's the Crippled Critic, and this week I want to do another one of my top 10 underrated games. This time I want to talk about the Dot Hack franchise, specifically the first game in the four-part series, Dot Hack Infection. So Dot Hack is a single-player RPG for the PlayStation 2 and was developed by Japanese company CyberConnect 2. So I know with Dot Hack it's probably better to judge the entire series because the story is really incomplete unless you've played all four, but the first game, Dot Hack Infection, is really the only one that wraps up most of the quests, and plus each one of the games is about 50 hours long. So individually they can still be considered a full-fledged game. In Dot Hack, you'll play as Kite, a young boy and a new player of a fictional video game called The World. One day, his best friend becomes comatose while playing the game. This drives Kite to try and find a way to bring him back, even if it involves delving deeper into the mystery of the game. Dot Hack Infection is sort of a spin-off of an anime that I also think is underrated, which is called Dot Hack Sign. The TV show had a lot more bizarre imagery, but it had the same basic concept of the games, just slower and less action. Although they take place in the same universe, you won't need to watch the show to understand the story. In fact, there's only a brief reference to the main characters of the anime in the Dot Hack video game series, and if you blink you'll miss it. I should probably also mention that when I played the four-part Dot Hack games back in 2002, they came with a DVD for a separate anime specific to the game storyline. These DVDs would cover what was happening in the real world. Now I know this may sound confusing, but if you just play the game and ignore the other stuff, you won't have any trouble. I think they were just included for those who had lingering questions. Now on to the gameplay in Dot Hack. It's pretty simple as far as the button commands go. Disabled gamers with fine motor skill impairments should have an easy time. The X button is used for attacking or confirming things, while the circle button is used to cancel. Using these basic functions will get you through most of the game. You can move with the left control stick or directional pad, and both the right control stick and the L1-R1 triggers control the camera. Dot Hack also offers the option to switch between third person and first person with L2, but I rarely use this except occasionally to scout ahead for monsters. Dot Hack is an action RPG, so you'll be fighting enemies in real time. However, pressing triangle will open the battle menu, pausing the game and allowing you to take time and plan out your next move. Also, early on, the main character Kite gains the ability to hack monsters using a mysterious bracelet. Hacking monsters targets their corrupted data. It makes them vulnerable and easier to take down, especially with bosses, which tend to have infinite health if you don't use this feature. Dot Hack basically plays like an offline MMO, so there are tons of side quests that will keep you busy. You are able to explore the world alone if you like, but I don't recommend that. Party members offer good backup for when an enemy moves quicker than you expected. Good news for gamers with hearing impairments, Dot Hack has large readable subtitles available, although they aren't always consistent when it comes to the cinematic cutscenes. Funny enough, deaf players will not have to endure the terrible voice acting in the game, and it can get pretty bad.
Oh, I get it now. You are a newbie, aren't you? I might have guessed. Well, are you or not? Come on now, don't be shy. You can tell me. Listen, in case you're not aware of it, you're being very rude. It's impolite to stare at someone like that. You have to understand it's the same as the real world. Don't you get it? Ugh.
Deaf players will be missing out on an incredible soundtrack though. Dot Hack seriously has some of the best music I've ever heard in a video game. Really mood building, and not just your typical epic opera stuff. There's a lot of variety in the soundtrack. It will go from a cheery fantasy song to an electronic style. Really memorable, it always brings me back to the world. Visually speaking, the game screen can get a little cluttered during battle with all the status effects and magic spells. Dot hack is usually pretty bright, but there's also a brightness slider you can change, so I think disabled gamers with visual impairment should be fine. On to the story. Dot hack has a unique style, as it's one of the first to try this sort of game within a game approach. Although it's technically an RPG, Dot hack takes place in a fictional MMORPG world where you can even log in, check emails, and use message boards. However, all of it is a simulation. You won't actually be on the internet, and the people you interact with are AI, they're not real. It's a strange idea, but I think it worked for the story they were trying to tell. Dot hack touched on a lot of social issues that really spoke to me as a teenager. Things like social anxiety, isolation, and escapism. Specifically, the idea that you would play a video game to escape the hardships of the real world. Also, Dot hack took a look at what it's like to be anonymous on the internet, being able to hide behind a virtual avatar and become someone else for a little while.
The fake real? And the real fake? Which is real?
The characters in the game are okay. Like I said, to me the acting was mediocre, and that can make the characters seem kind of vapid. But if you can look past that, you'll see that the characters are a lot deeper than they seem. One last thing. Honestly, I never got past the third game in the series, and I think that's because it was a bad idea to try to stretch the story out to over 4 games. Still, like I said before, you can play the first game on its own and get the basic idea just fine. So yeah, Dot hack has many layers to it. If you can get past the cheesy anime dialogue, there's a lot to enjoy. The story of the virtual world is surreal, and the soundtrack is truly awesome. I recommend giving these games a try, although you'll have to track down some of the copies on PS2. I don't think they were ever released digitally. Alright guys, thanks for watching again, and let me know in the comments what you think and what some of your underrated games are. Alright, see you later.